Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nisi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we're going to talk today to a CEO who technically runs a nonprofit, but it happens to be one of the most influential organizations in Rhode Island, one that has a big impact and has its hand in a lot of pies. So there's a lot of interesting things to talk about with him, and that is Neil Steinberg. Neil is the president and CEO of the Rhode Island Foundation. I should disclose, as you see behind me, the Rhode Island Foundation is a sponsor of Executive Suite, but we are, of course, editorially independent. So he did not get the questions in advance, right? So Neil, thanks for coming in, and I want to start off with something basic. You know, people read about the Rhode Island Foundation, sometimes your own initiative, sometimes someone else is announcing something that, say, you folks gave them some support money or something like that. They may not understand exactly where the money came from, where it's going, who's in charge of it. You're in that big building downtown. Talk a little for people about what is the Rhode Island Foundation?
Sure. So the Rhode Island Foundation is a community foundation. There's about 700 community foundations in the country, place-based to benefit the geography. We're one of the few that are statewide, so there's Chicago and New York and then some small town ones. And we're one of the oldest and largest, and actually that goes together. If you're old and you've invested your money wisely, it grows. So we're about the 23rd, 24th largest in the country. We do three things. We work with very generous donors of all sizes to establish funds to do good work. And sometimes those funds are directed for a specific cause or specific organization. Sometimes they're discretionary, where our grant-making staff will take applications. We're the largest funder to the nonprofit sector in Rhode Island. So we bring in the money, we work with the donors, we give out the money to nonprofits. We are a nonprofit. We're, as you mentioned earlier, 501c3 nonprofit. And then we do leadership and advocacy. So we pull it all together. We try and do very impactful grants that help the community. We try and work with donors to make their dreams come true and match up their causes. And we try and use our knowledge and our network with state officials, with people throughout the state to get good things done. By way of example, last year in 2017, we raised $38 million. We gave out $43 million. Our investment return was 17.4%, so that obviously helps build the pie. It's all endowed money pretty much, so it grows and we spend the income on that.
And that's important for people to understand. A lot of people are familiar with a college endowment.
Correct.
We always say Brown has a $3.5 billion endowment, but Brown can't spend $3.5 billion a year. That's the long-term savings account. Correct.
So for us, we spend 4.5 to 4.75% of that large endowment on the grants. And then to the extent our investments grow, which we do over the long term about 8%, then the pie grows and we keep giving out more grants. Our total assets now, including the endowment, are about $950 million. So we're big. We're a big fish here, but there's a lot of need in the community. There's a lot of opportunity in the community. So we're really here for Rhode Island, by Rhode Island, of Rhode Island, working with Rhode Islanders.
And it's everything from people now who've done well will say they want they want donations to go up, but they don't want to do it themselves. They go with you guys. To some of it, you have some really old accounts that are still generating it, right? Old industrial money from the pre-World War II era. That came in, that you're still, it makes a return and you hand it out.
Right, so we started in 1916 and we have plenty of funds, and what we do is we steward the funds for donors. So somebody 75 years ago gave us money for a specific purpose. We make sure that every year as it grows, it goes for that purpose.
And even if they died a long time ago, do you have to stick?
We honor their wishes. And so some of that money comes, those who want to give while they live today and see the fruits of it. And then a lot are bequests for people that leave money for either a cause or just generally for Rhode Island. And as I said, the grants that we make either are honoring the donor's wishes, and it goes to that organization or that cause, or it's money that we can use. And our top priorities for funding in the state are education, K through 12 public education, healthcare, and economic security. Those are the top three needs and opportunities we see as funding in the state. But we also fund the arts and the environment and housing and social services too. And we'll talk a little about a new grant program that we're doing too to expand
Yeah, and I have one other question on the big picture before we get to some of the specific stuff you guys are working on. Do you have any, for lack of better, like obscure things people wanted to give money to a long time ago, that maybe there's, someone says that, I don't know, the Victrola for Poor Children Foundation that you don't need anymore. How do you manage something like that?
Yeah, it's a great question because, not to get technical, but community foundations have this thing called the power of variance. And what that means is, through our IRS charter, if we can't use the money for what it was originally intended. So I'll give you a great example. We had one from many years ago, and it was to fight tuberculosis. Well, tuberculosis is pretty much cured now, so we use it for other infectious diseases. We can, through our board, make a change to the fund. We stay within the topic of whatever the fund is for.
Yes, in that case, you try to keep it
another healthcare
disease,
fund or education fund, but we don't want funds sitting there that can't be used. And so that's what we do. And so that's part of why people will come to a community foundation, because 50 years from now, you don't know what the need's going to be. We got a lot of publicity about a year ago over a very large gift that we got. And it was from a person by the name of Wilcox. Mr. Wilcox was an investment banker, and in 1965 he died. And he left $1 million to his daughter, Helen Mattis. And the provision was that when she died, many years later, that 60% of the money, whatever it was, come to the Rhode Island Foundation, totally unrestricted. So he had confidence, A, that we'd still be here, and B, we would know the issues of the day that got funded. She passed away a little over a year ago. It was worth $48 million. We got a $28 million unrestricted gift. And to your point, we don't spend the $28 million, but that's another $1.5 million of grants dedicated to the Rhode Island community. Did you
know that was coming?
We knew there was a relationship. We had no idea the numbers until her son came. And
because if someone hasn't contacted you and they put you in their will,
we get that sometimes. We like to know because we can work with them and talk to them about what they'd like it to do. But sometimes people will. They'll give to their cause that they wanted. It could be a church, a school. It could be dogs and cats. It could be for medical research. But the most valuable, and it does the most for the community, is when people broaden a little. So for a topic or a geography, or just say whatever the need is in the community. And we will always be here, the way we're set up, staffed with people that'll know long after I'm not here what the important things are in the Rhode Island community.
People might hear that and say, well, I'm never going to have probably $48 million to give to anybody. Do you get smaller donors, or is it mostly people who write really big checks?
No, it's donors pretty much on a bequest side, $10,000 and up. So, if somebody has a house and they're not leaving it to somebody else, that becomes available for a fund, and you sell the house afterwards, and we have the fund. So we can look at all kinds of things. The other thing is, we will take contributions of any size, $25, to existing funds. So if somebody knows that we have a fund for infectious diseases, or we have it for Northern Rhode Island or something, people can do that, in honor of somebody's 35th birthday or something like that.
That's kind of fascinating. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how some of that money is being spent, including some of the new programs the Rhode Island Foundation is getting underway now in 2018. So stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. We're talking today to Neil Steinberg. Neil is the president and CEO of the Rhode Island Foundation, Rhode Island's community foundation. We were talking in the first segment there about kind of what that is and where their money is. They're approaching $1 billion in endowment, and then that allows them to give tens of millions of dollars a year out in different programs. And let's talk about some of what you're doing with that. We're talking here at the beginning of March 2018, and you are kicking off. It's a new initiative called Together RI, series of community conversations in the coming months. Tell us about what this is and where the idea came from.
Sure. So, it's no secret that a lot of people talk about not having a voice. They say we're not being heard by whoever, whether it's in Washington, whether it's locally, whether it's just in general, they're not being heard. They may be heard on social media, more seen than heard, but they're not being heard. And the other thing is, we've seen the dissipation of civic and civil dialogue. So you and I can do all kinds of things on social media and call each other names and argue and stuff, but when you're sitting across from somebody or with somebody, you have a different opportunity to find common ground or to disagree respectfully. So what we said is that we want to give people, and when we say people, it's everybody in Rhode Island. So anybody and everybody is invited to come, and we're going to give people the opportunity to talk with each other and listen to each other. That's the real goal of this. So we're calling it Together Rhode Island. The mechanics are pretty simple. We're putting out the schedule. It starts March 21st, goes through May 5th. mostly evenings during the week, a couple of Saturday mornings.
And a bunch of different places.
All over the state. So 20 locations around the state. I have to admit, we did not go for the 39 cities and towns. We had some practicality there. But 20 locations. And the format will be that everybody's invited, anybody can come. You can go on the website, togetherri.org, and see more about it. And we'll have tables of 10 and dinner. And it'll be family-style dinner.
Free food.
Free food. The whole thing is free. You just come and show up, participate as much as you like. And it won't be dominated. So it's not a meeting where somebody gets the microphone and talks about something for 20 minutes. We hope people will sit with people that they don't necessarily know, but there's no requirement. Our role is to host it, is to welcome people. We will have a professional facilitator at each one that'll keep going. And what they'll talk about at the tables after everybody introduces each other and finds out, you know, who likes the Red Sox and who knows whose aunt and all that you get in our communities, is to develop a real sense of community. And again, everybody get a chance to talk and listen about what are the strengths of Rhode Island, what are our opportunities, and what are the biggest issues in your community.
And what do you hope to, you mentioned, I think in the announcement that you hope maybe to have some findings or some information from these at your annual meeting, which is later in the spring.
Right.
What do you hope to hear? What do you hope to learn or get out of it?
Yeah, so the first thing is, while it's pretty informal, people show up and talk and listen, we're working with URI to compile the results. So the results of what people indicate at their table, we're going to also have a survey that we hope they'll fill out on the way out. And URI will help us compile. And we have committed to everybody that's involved that we will communicate what we heard. We don't know what we're going to hear. We may hear in the southern part of the state there's a different issue than the northern. We may hear there are emerging issues all across the state. The format leads us away from dominating on one topic. So if there's something you like or don't like, that's one item on your list, and we'll compile that. But the real thing is to communicate afterwards. Now, what happens with the information? Candidly, we don't know. We're open to it. We will talk to top elected officials. We have briefed the governor, the speaker, the Senate president on this. They know we're doing it, and said we're going to come back and we're going to tell you. At our annual meeting on May 24th, we're going to reveal the top line results. URI will then do a deeper dive that we'll put on our website and find out what those issues are. It may lead to action. We're not sure. It may lead to people doing their own. So it was the spirit of make it happen that we did in 2012 that was one of the reasons that we thought about doing this. That was a little different because we brought everybody together centrally. But we didn't know what was going to come out. And we may have 5 people that want to do a neighborhood watch. We may have 8 people that want to do a path at some park in their city or town. The other thing is you're not bound by your city or town. So we put all the 20 out there, and if somebody from Warwick wants to go to Woonsocket, they're welcome to do it.
A long drive for Rhode Island.
It's a long drive, so we're not forcing that. But we're really committed to saying you, whoever the you is that shows up, you will get the opportunity to be heard, and we will leverage that opportunity to then communicate publicly what everybody said.
I want to ask you another initiative you guys have going on. This is something called impact investing, sort of, as I read it, a cross between your traditional grant-making donations, the big check that you do. I don't know if you guys do the big check. Sometimes you do, not really, and traditional bank lending, you know, going to the bank. In a past life you were a banker, the head of Fleet back in the day. Talk about how this is going to work. This is different from a traditional grant, and it's a new thing for you guys.
It's very different. The thing that has in common with a lot of what we're talking about, including Together Rhode Island, is our commitment to community. We are place-based. So we're of, for, by Rhode Island. So what this is, we do grants. A big grant from the Rhode Island Foundation may be $100,000, $150,000 because we spread it out on a lot of different areas. We're committing part of our endowment. So that $950 million, ultimately over time, we will commit up to 5% of that of investing in Rhode Island. So right now it's invested, you know, as any long-term endowment, very well diversified, good returns. But in
stocks and bonds, the usual, like a 401k.
And different things, real estate things. What this will be, though, is they will be investments in Rhode Island, loans or investments. The criteria, social return, and financial return. The financial return will be below market. So that 8% that we're getting over the long term, we're willing to take a much smaller return in exchange for something that does good in Rhode Island. So it's for organizations. It can be for-profit, it can be not-for-profit, but they have to do good for Rhode Island. And we've done 2 so far since we started. One was an equity investment. We bought 300 $300,000 of preferred stock in Urban Greens. Urban Greens is a food co-op that is building a facility in the food desert in Providence to bring people that don't have access to fresh food, the fresh food. And so that's an investment. We'll get paid back over time. We made a loan to Rhode Island Public Radio, who is expanding their scope. They're buying equipment, they're buying a signal, they're raising money. They needed funds up front to bridge the fundraising, and so that's $1 million line of credit.
Which, as you sort of pointed out, that's much larger than a
correct.
A
so
standard
we can do things.
grant.
We can do $1 to $2 million deals and investments. It could be for affordable housing. We could possibly find a way on the school renovations in those bonds. It could be expanding a community health center. There's a lot of things. We're in the early stages of talking, but people, if they have ideas or interests, should come talk to us about it.
And we're up against break, but I just want to ask you briefly. Some people might hear that and say, well, wait a minute, if a bank's not doing that loan, are you taking too much risk with the foundation's charitable assets? What do you and the board say to that?
So first of all, we're not regulated like the banks. So we have a little more leeway. We've got a big endowment. Some of us know banking. Some of us know what banks should be doing sometimes and maybe aren't doing as much, and I know I'll get in trouble for that. But we're being prudent. We have a committee, and our committee is made up of finance professionals, of investment professionals. So we're a little further on the risk spectrum, but we're not going into this to lose the endowment money. It's a very small part of our endowment. We will grow that through investments more than we will put at risk.
Interesting. All right, we come back. We're going to talk some more about some of what the foundation's doing looking at small business, the topic we often highlight right here on Executive Suite. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we are taking the temperature of the Rhode Island Foundation. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, is our sponsor on this show, but we are editorially independent. But they do a lot in this state and have a lot of interesting programs going on. That's why Neil Steinberg is with me today, the president and CEO of the foundation. And we were talking before about your impact investing program. I want to talk about a different, more traditional grant program. I gather from reading you, you're looking across your grants at sort of, in some cases, refocusing, putting new metrics in place, et cetera. But one I wanted to get right to is a new program you folks have decided to launch this year called Responsive Grants, the Responsive Grants program. I'm curious what hole you think that could fill and why you saw a need for it.
Sure. So as I mentioned before, we have 3 strategic initiatives of healthcare, economic security, and education. Beyond that, we were targeting areas like the arts and like the environment and stuff. And we're still going to do that, but we're broadening it. So this opens up, when we say responsive, it's all nonprofits in all sectors. If they have a good idea, we're encouraging them to come in and talk with us. So we've dedicated a little more money. We're not taking it away from anything. We're actually broadening the pot and adding to it. But we want to encourage good ideas. So instead of just a sector or a type, if your nonprofit is doing this or you're doing that or you're starting to do something, come in and talk to us, and we want to be responsive. That's where it comes from.
What would you say is the biggest difference between this and sort of the programs you've had already that already do give out a lot of donations?
They were just more focused and targeted on a sector. So you came in and talked to the arts person or the environment person or the housing person. Now, we still have those people, but we're willing to go beyond what those specific sectors are and welcome in and give an opportunity maybe to organizations we haven't funded in the past.
I mentioned before the break, we often spotlight small businesses here. You folks commissioned an interesting analysis a little while back called Next Street.
Right.
And one of the findings that stuck out to me was you're looking at what's available for small businesses. That report found more than 80 different organizations and programs that say they're aimed at helping small businesses around. On the one hand, you could say, great, that's a lot of available. On the other hand, it seemed like part of the report was saying there might be it might be getting hard for people to find what matters. What did you take away from that report?
Yeah, so that's an excellent example. Navigating and getting information is not good enough to say there's plenty there if you can't figure it out. So Next Street did a report in Boston on the ecosystem and all the support in Boston, and we looked at it and said, gee, wouldn't it be great here? We're a small business state, as you've pointed out. What's in it for what we look at? If we have a thriving economy, then the need goes down and the resources go up. And the opposite is true too. And that's a challenge when the needs are much more than the resources. So when we looked at this with Next Street, we said what we can do is bring information and people together. We're big conveners. So we have brought those service providers together. We're rationalizing it. in terms of who does what and who really does what, and do they do what they say they do. And we are, in the coming months, going to be putting out a technical way of using technology to access it. So if you wanted to do these services or these, you'll be able to get it online instead of trying to navigate and who knows who and
kind
all
of
of that.
Kind of a one-stop shop. I'm looking for help
shopping,
with this.
Correct.
Here's who works on that.
Yes. And getting these providers together and finding out where the holes are. So we learn things like credit scores for small businesses. If you made a mistake 5 years ago and your credit score isn't good, personally, you may have trouble getting a loan for your small business. There are ways to repair those credit scores and work with people. There's ways to get technical assistance. You know, you're great at making that new widget, but you don't know how to run the books whatsoever, or you don't know how to get new distribution areas. How can we get the resources together to help and grow? Special emphasis on minority and women-owned businesses. You know, just a lot people, the growing demographic changes that we're seeing. How can we make sure people who are underserved or who don't have the voice get that voice and get the resources?
One thing that comes up a lot that I'm curious what you think, both in your current job and in your old job as a banker, access to capital comes up over and over. Just a show we did recently, they were talking about entrepreneurs and the struggle with that in Rhode Island. What do you think could fill that gap? You know, that it's this in-between for early startups money that maybe it's too soon for a bank, but you need somebody out there. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the problem too. Any thoughts on what could be done in that space? Yeah,
it comes out on this. And, you know, go back to impact investing. We're hopeful that at some point there'll be a fund and we can support a fund. It's hard to do because from a practical point of view, if you're running this fund and you're making $20,000 investments, it's more efficient to make $2 million investments. But there is a gap. The age old is the bankers will say, well, if it was a good company and it was profitable, they could get the loan. Some investors will say, hey, if it's a great idea, they can always get capital. Not that cut and dry. And so we do think there's an area in there, there's a space where with technical assistance, with coaching, with being more proactive, people don't know where to go and get these things. And we're looking at it through technology, we're looking at it through different sources, whether it's working with banks, working with investors or something, to fill that gap. But it's not here's the one thing you do and it goes away. And it doesn't take a good idea and give them a lot of money that they shouldn't get in the first place.
Okay, I've 30 seconds left. You're on that group of the 10 local CEOs. Partnership for Rhode Island that was founded a while ago. Hasbro, CVS, Citizens, U, Bank of America, Brown, and others. How's that going so far?
It's going very well. So the first thing is you go on the website. We're up to 12 now. And what it's done is it's captured the talent and the leadership of the CVSs, the Hasbros, the Gilbanes, the Amicas, the FM Globals, Providence Equity, to get involved and look at 4 key areas: infrastructure, education, business attraction, and job training. Those are the 4 focus areas. Devote senior level attention and resources and help the state go forward.
A few dollars attached to those organizations if there's something they want to do. All right. Neil Steinberg, President and CEO of the Rhode Island Foundation, thank you very much for being with us. If you missed any of this episode or any other episode of Executive Suite, you can catch them all on our website, WPRI.com. And of course, they're also available on iTunes as a podcast. You can subscribe on there and get it fresh whenever a new episode is up. See you back here next week on Executive Suite.